Hello and welcome. I'm Thomas. Welcome to Wonder of Existence. I've got Geert and Mike on my left-hand side. They will be my company for, I guess, at least months, if not years. I hope so. In order to help me to understand why we're here, what we're going to do here, and what we want to do here in this world, in this physical reality. And also non-physical reality. I'm just curious to discuss several topics with them, and they are really sort of I shouldn't be using the word guru, but they quite good in terms of knowledge of some aspects which I'm interested in. So let's kick it off. Let's start with Geert, because Geert is the oldest one here. So feel free to say hello to everyone and tell me, please, why you're here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Geert, 66 years old, born in the east of Holland. So I'm not living in Amsterdam, but came into when I was 20 as a teacher. And in this moment, I work as a teacher, physics, math, in chemistry, and I think the beginning of questioning life was when I was 4 or 5 years old. So it was very, very early, and this stayed all my life. And it was because my grandmother died, and I was wondering how it is to be dead. And that lasted, I think, 1.5 years. So my parents really grew mad on me, because what's this question? We can't answer this question. But a child can have a lot of questions you can't answer. And I think there are moments in my life that there is some awakening. And the second moment I remember is the secondary school. I met a book. I was in the library alone, and it was a thin book, and we had to read for our list. And I met the book Frederik van Eden, De Kleine Johannes, and it was really completely new world for me, because it was a very spiritual book, but I also recognized myself in this Johannes figure. That was the second time, and then my life started with meeting people who could introduce me to several experiences I had in work, in gardening, biological, that sort of things. And well, that's why I'm interested in a channel like this, because I thought a lot of all these things, but I didn't find the answers. I still have the questions, but I enjoy having questions. So that's the reason why I'm here.
Right. What about you, Mike, then?
A similar sort of story, actually. Without being a teacher and without asking about death. If I think back to my childhood, I can pretty much say I had an awakening as well when I was small. And awakening was to something wrong with the system I was being brought up in. I was brought up in a Catholic family, although they weren't strong Catholics, but we went to a Catholic school, and the school was joined to a Catholic church, and there was a particular strong tradition in that environment. And
question, it's England, and
oh yes,
Catholic is not the main church in England.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm English. Grew up in England. Been in Amsterdam 30 years now, and the area we lived in was actually majority Protestant, and we came out of an Irish Catholic lineage, and we moved into this sort of middle class Protestant environment, but we had to go out of it to our schools. Me and my brothers and sister, and it was just taken for granted that you were part of the Catholic community, even though we lived among either Protestants or open people from different religions or non-religious. It was a new environment that I was brought up in, but around it was all the traditions of the local Catholic community or Protestant community or Methodist community or Anglican were all there. But it was a time when the church was very prominent, and being Catholic and going to a Catholic school, the church was extra prominent, and the church set the rules and the schools followed that, and the parents sent their kids to it and didn't ask any questions, and the kids weren't allowed to question it either. And at 5 years of age, I remember I was punished for not going to church on the Sunday. Well, it had nothing to do with me that I didn't go to the church, but I was punished for it.
Punished in terms of what? How punished?
How I was punished? Yeah, well, the teacher, who was a headmistress, and sort of a cliche headmistress, big butch woman, and she said, "Okay, children, put your hands up if you didn't go to church yesterday." And I put my hand up. I didn't. My dad was working, so he didn't take us. My mother was Protestant, my mother, so she didn't go to church. And I put my hand up, and I was the only kid. And, okay, come here. And in front of the rest of the class, she hit me across the kneecaps with a wooden spoon and sent me to stand in the corner for the rest of the day. And that was my awakening, because I spent most of the time, I probably cried, but I don't remember that. What I remember is thinking, there's something seriously wrong with this. Even though I didn't have the words seriously to be able to do that, I felt that something was wrong, that I should not be punished, and I was punished.
Because you got punished just because
I didn't go to the school. Yeah.
Because you was honest.
Well, that was what made it so strange. They didn't consider the honesty. They only considered the sin of not going to church. The fact that you were honest didn't weigh up against it. So I thought, well, something's wrong with this. And then over a period of time, and probably the questioning grew, or the big question, well, if this is all wrong, what else is wrong? You know, and then I began to question all of society through the channel of the school and the church. And I found numerous inconsistencies. The whole thing just didn't fit right for me. And because I couldn't talk to anybody about it, certainly not in the school, not in the church, I couldn't even talk to my parents about it because they were not intellectual enough to discuss it. And you didn't do that in those days. You didn't talk with your parents about those things. And so I understood pretty early on that I would have to find the answers myself, and in the meantime all I had to do was survive school long enough to get out alive and find my own answers, which is what I've been doing all my life. I've had the questions about life, existence, and being open, because I realised that my religion, the Catholic religion, was broken up before my eyes through this the school and the church and the tradition and the hypocrisy, really. But I always knew that my spirituality wasn't damaged, you know. So even though I turned sort of against religion without any real activism, I wasn't angry. I thought, yeah, they don't know any better. That was it, and that was confirmed over and over again. Even the adults, they say they knew everything, or were telling me what the world was. I realised that no, they don't know anything, and I'm not going to listen to them. I'm going to find my own answers. But I always knew that there was a spirituality that was not explained by the Catholic religion. So I had no problem with being on my own and finding my own way. I thought, I'll do that. And you picked the book up. How old was you when you picked that book?
I think 14.
Yeah, but that's funny because at 14 I read a book as well. It wasn't so. It was a children's book that you read, and I read Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Bach, Richard Bach, and my sister had brought it, but she didn't think anything of it. She thought it was only a story about a seagull, but it tells a very spiritual story. And I read that, and I discovered it and read it in one sitting, and I thought, that's it. That's all the answers are there. And then over a few years, because I didn't need to seek answers then, I knew it. And I remember reading that out in class once, and nobody got it. Nobody, none of my peers got it. Even the teacher didn't get it. They just thought it was some stupid story about a seagull. They didn't see the spiritual message in there. And I thought, well, just more proof that I just don't belong in this environment. So I went my own way, still asking questions, still looking, but not as a main occupation. I didn't go out searching for answers. No, the questions and answers were just floating around. I just went on my own path to live a life of experience, to follow whatever path opened up before me, knowing I already knew something that, I say, most people didn't, and unafraid to ask questions about it. So I had this sort of foundational safety net behind me of, yeah, okay, it's all in there, in that one book. And then a few years later, when I was 18, I read the follow-up book to it, and it was called Illusions. And that brought the same sort of story down to an individual human character. And I identified with that character and the spiritual character who was was like a supporting role in the book. And I thought, yeah, this tells me that all of reality is an illusion, and I like that. And it just gave me an idea about what this world could be. I had a lot of dreams as well, a lot of lucid dreams and things which told me that reality was there was something more out there from my own experience. And these two books gave me two different viewpoints. One was the more spiritual, and one was the more practical. And I enjoyed just thinking differently from everybody else. And that's basically what brought me which has led me all the way through my life, which brought me into contact with Geert in a way, through particular texts, I think, in my songs, which showed that we had an affinity for the same ideas, and has kept us in conversation for many years.
So
that's why I'm here.
So very basic question. What would you like to achieve? What would you like to get out of this project? What would you like to know? Or what would you like to get into taking part in these discussions? Yeah.
For me, it's an exercise in just formulating questions and answers. There's not finding the definite answer, but I need exercise to be able to what I feel, because I'm not an intellectual, but what I feel, I want to find words for it, and this is a perfect place to be able to exercise that. So I see it as an exercise, and well, that's what, if I do some more of my introduction, when I was at a secondary school, I had some trust in the adults that what they tried to learn me, that it was in some point important. and I just was curious. So that made school very easy for me. Just because I had the feeling I have to do this first before I can understand if it's nonsense or if it has sense. So that's with the normality to go work as a teacher for me in my case. I did it the same way. I had no idea what to do as a teacher. After 3 years of education for it, but I wanted to know what it is. Why do these people think this is important? Well, that's what I'm still doing now as a teacher. But well, that's this is a possibility to exercise these questions and what it is life about, and you have to do it. It's completely. We as a human beings, we don't have the skills to see immediately what is life about. We have to talk about it with each other, and not only read books, but just talk about it and practice it. So I have tried to practice it in my teacher, being a teacher, but also want to practice it in playing a game, soccer or something like that, volleyball. I always want to practice it and to have a possibility to exercise my not being able to talk about it, but just being better in it.
And one of the disciplines was the football.
One of the disciplines is my football, still playing with you. That's the point. We met. And you meet people at strange places on the soccer field to do the question of life.
Right. No, yeah, thanks a lot for your introduction. I think that's what's most important for now. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and see you next time.
You're welcome. Thank you.